Imagine this. A regular Sunday evening. Two friends, they've just seen a movie, now they're just trying to get home. It's late, they manage to get a bus expecting, just a normal ride back.
Right, routine trip.
But then, that simple journey transforms. It becomes a nightmare, something so brutal, so deeply shocking, it didn't just shake one nation.
No, it resonated globally. It sparked this huge conversation about justice, about safety, about the very fabric of society.
And that is the terrible reality of December 2012 in India. Today, we're going to tell the story of what became known as the Nirbhaya case.
An incident so horrifying, it was widely called one of the most audacious, most brutal crimes the country had seen in a decade.
So today, we want to share the harrowing details of that night. How could an everyday bus ride just turn into such an unthinkable tragedy?
And what were the consequences, the ripples that spread out from this single awful event across all of Indian society? It's a difficult story, absolutely.
It really is. But understanding it offers, I think, crucial insights into how societies can react and change.
At the absolute center of this devastating story is a young woman. Her name was Jyoti Singh.
Jyoti Singh. Born May 10th, 1990 in Delhi. She was only 22 years old.
And many people knew her by a nickname, Nirbhaya.
Which means fearless in Hindi, a powerful name.
It really is. And Jyoti, well, she seemed to embody that spirit. Ambitious, kind. She was studying physical therapy.
Right, she had this dream, didn't she, to help people less fortunate.
Exactly. She was the eldest child, the only daughter in a warm family. They weren't wealthy, financially modest, you could say.
But her father worked incredibly hard.
He did. 2 shifts. He never had the chance for higher education himself, so he was determined his children would. He wanted them educated to contribute something meaningful.
It paints such a picture, doesn't it? A vibrant young woman, full of promise, about to really start her life.
And then came that Sunday, December 16th, 2012.
That evening, Jyoti met up with her friend, Avinara Pandey. He was a software engineer.
Now, the sources, they're a bit unclear in their exact relationship. Some say just close friends, others suggest maybe engaged or heading that way.
But what seems undeniable is how close they were. They clearly cared for each other deeply.
Absolutely. So after the movie, it's about 9:30 p.m., they're waiting for a bus to take Jyoti home to a place called Dwarka.
And Avinara planned to see her safely home.
Right. They get on this particular bus, and there are already 6 other people inside. The driver, Ram Singh, plus 5 others.
So with Jyoti and Avinara, that makes 8 people on board?
Correct. And at first, it seems fine. The driver even asks their destination, confirms Dwarka.
And someone, a conductor, collects their fare.
Yes, 10 rupees each, about 5 Thai baht, very normal.
But things started to feel wrong quite quickly. What were those first signs?
Well, Avinara noticed pretty fast. 2 things stood out. First, the bus wasn't taking the usual route to Dwarka. It deviated.
Okay.
Second, he realized the doors seemed to be locked. They weren't stopping to pick anyone else up.
That's unnerving.
Very. So Avinara challenges the driver, asks about the route change. And that's when it starts.
The confrontation.
Yes. All 6 men on the bus, they clearly knew each other. They start verbally harassing Jyoti and Avinara, taunting them.
What were they saying?
Things like, what's a young couple like you doing out so late? Why aren't you home? Just aggressive, menacing questions.
And that verbal abuse, it escalated.
Terrifyingly fast. Into physical violence. 5 of the men, not the driver, initially they start physically harassing Jyoti.
And Avinara tried to protect her.
He did. He bravely tried to shield her, put himself between her and the attackers.
He acted heroically.
Absolutely, but for that act, he was brutally attacked. One of the men hit him repeatedly with an iron rod.
An iron rod?
Yes, hit him until he lost consciousness.
Oh, God.
And what happened next is, it's almost impossible to comprehend. Jyoti was dragged to the back of the bus.
While the bus was still moving?
Yes. For over half an hour, the bus kept driving. And all 6 men, including the 17-year-old and even the driver, Ram Singh, who swapped places with someone else so he could participate.
All 6?
They repeatedly raped and brutally assaulted her.
It's just unthinkable cruelty.
And then, after the assault, they robbed them, took their valuables.
In the final act?
The final act of cruelty. While the bus was still moving, they opened the door and threw Jyoti and Avinara, both unconscious, out onto the roadside.
Just left them there?
Just left them. It was around 11 p.m. when a passerby found them. Barely clothed, bleeding heavily, unconscious but miraculously still alive.
They were rushed to the hospital?
Immediately.
Immediately?
To Safdarjung Hospital. Jyoti's condition was critical right from the start. Put on a ventilator, she slipped into a coma.
The doctors, what did they say?
They described her body as shattered, like she was only held together by her breath. They were struggling, apparently, just to decide where to even begin treatment.
The medical reports, they detail the injuries.
They do. And it's incredibly difficult to recount. Extensive external wounds, bite marks, and horrific internal mutilation.
Right from the iron rod.
It's believed so. A blunt object, likely that rod, was thrust into her vagina with such force it ruptured her uterus. It penetrated her abdominal cavity, severely damaging her intestines, actually pulling parts of them out.
I can't even imagine. And Avinara.
He had severe external bruises, a broken leg, other serious wounds, but thankfully his injuries weren't life-threatening in the same way Jyoti's were.
In the face of such horror, how did the investigation proceed?
You know, considering the context, the police response was actually remarkably swift. They started the investigation the very next morning, December 17th.
What did they find initially?
They seized the bus quickly, and inside they found 2 L-shaped iron rods stained with blood. Parts of the vehicle, Jack, actually.
The weapon.
Yes, they were rusted and, chillingly, had tissue fragments attached.
And forensics confirmed.
DNA analysis confirmed it was human intestine, almost certainly Jyoti's. The police also used CCTV footage to identify the bus itself. It turned out to be contracted to a private school.
Which led them to the driver.
Directly to the driver, Ram Singh.
And Avinara, he was able to give a statement.
Yes, crucially. As the only conscious witness, his testimony was vital. He gave a detailed statement and even helped create a sketch of the attackers.
So how quickly were arrests made?
Incredibly quickly. By tracking the stolen mobile phones from Jyoti and Avinara, police apprehended all 6 suspects within 24 hours.
24 hours, that's impressive.
It really was, especially for a case like this in India at the time. The police received a lot of praise for that swift action.
So let's talk about the suspects. Who were they?
Right, there were 6 arrested. Ram Singh, the driver, his brother, Mukesh Singh, then Vinay Sharma, Pawan Gupta, Akshay Thakur, and the 6th was a 17-year-old juvenile. His name wasn't released due to his age.
And the juvenile, he didn't know the others beforehand.
That's what was reported. It's a particularly chilling detail, suggesting how random, how opportunistic this attack was. He seemingly just joined in.
What did the suspects' confessions reveal about the lead-up?
They revealed a picture of, well, callousness. They had apparently been drinking since the morning, just joyriding in Ram Singh's bus.
And the bus itself wasn't supposed to be used for public transport.
No, it was illegal.
Yay.
Plus, it had overly tinted windows, which is also against regulations.
And then there's that detail about the earlier robbery.
Yes, this is critical. It turns out, before they even picked up Jyoti and Avinara, this same group had robbed a carpenter on that very bus, took 8,000 rupees. Mukesh Singh, the brother, was driving during that robbery.
And the carpenter reported it.
He did. He went to the local police,
Yep.
but his complaint was dismissed. They basically told him it wasn't their jurisdiction, go report it in his own district.
That's just awful. A missed opportunity.
A huge missed opportunity. It wasn't just a bureaucratic failing. It highlighted a potential systemic issue. Overlooking that initial report, you have to wonder if intervening then could have prevented the horrific events that followed. It's a stark reminder.
Meanwhile, Jyoti was fighting for her life in the hospital.
An incredible fight. But despite the intensive care, her condition just kept getting worse. On December 19th, only 3 days after the attack, she needed a 5th surgery for the intestinal damage.
5th surgery.
By Christmas Day, December 25th, she was still on a ventilator. High fever, 39 degrees Celsius. Severe internal bleeding. Likely sepsis setting in that life-threatening infection, possibly from the rusted iron rod.
Could she communicate at all?
Only through gestures. It must have been agonizing.
And then the decision was made to move her.
Yes, on December 26th, the medical team decided to transfer her to Mount Elizabeth Hospital in Singapore. It's a specialist center, particularly for organ transplants. They hoped advanced care there might save her.
But the journey itself was dangerous.
Extremely risky. A 6-hour flight on December 27th. And tragically, she suffered a cardiac arrest mid-flight.
Oh no.
The medical team on board managed to resuscitate her, incredibly, but the damage was mounting.
Well, so when she arrived in Singapore,
Her condition was still absolutely critical. She developed brain damage, pneumonia, and the abdominal infection worsened, leading to multi-organ failure.
there was nothing more they could do.
Nothing more. The inevitable heartbreaking end came. Jyoti Singh passed away from her injuries on December 29, 2012 at 4:45 a.m. Her body was then flown back to India.
And that decision, the transfer to Singapore, it became controversial, didn't it?
It did. Her brother expressed such heartbreak, feeling it was just too late. And that sentiment was echoed maybe more quietly by some medical professionals.
They felt it was political.
There was a feeling among some that it might have been a decision driven partly by politics, maybe to show every possible effort was being made, a saving face kind of move rather than purely the best medical choice at that exact moment, especially given how long it took to make the decision.
And it later came out a politician did order the transfer.
Yes, that was confirmed later, adding weight to those concerns.
With Jyoti's tragic death and the suspects arrested, the focus must have shifted intensely to the legal process. How did that unfold?
It essentially went down two separate tracks. One legal process for the juvenile because of his age, and another for the 5 adult suspects.
Let's start with the juvenile's case.
Okay. The indictment against him was incredibly detailed, 33 pages long, and it described him, shockingly, as the most brutal of all 6 attackers.
Most brutal? How so?
It detailed how he raped Jyoti twice, how he was the one who used the iron rod internally, and almost unimaginably, how he pulled out her internal organs with his bare hands.
Just horrifying. And given that level of brutality, there was public pressure.
Immense public pressure. People were demanding he be tried as an adult. But the Juvenile Justice Board refused requests for bone ossification tests.
Those tests that can help determine biological age.
Exactly. They stuck with his birth certificate as proof he was under 18.
So what was the verdict for him?
On August 31st, 2013, he was found guilty. Guilty of rape, kidnapping, murder, and destroying evidence. But because he was tried as a juvenile,
the sentence was limited.
It was the maximum allowed under juvenile law at the time. 3 years in a correctional facility. And that included the 8 months he'd already spent in pretrial detention.
3 years for those acts.
Yes. And that sentence, while technically the legal maximum for a juvenile, caused enormous public outrage. It felt shockingly lenient given the extreme violence. It really highlighted this tension between the principles of juvenile justice and the public's cry for what felt like proportional punishment.
His release must have caused uproar, too.
Absolutely. When he was released in December 2015, there was immense anger. Jyoti's brother even tried to confront him in court after the initial verdict.
What happened to him after release?
He reportedly changed his name, his identity. His family disowned him. There are rumors he ended up working as a cook somewhere in Gaia. He essentially vanished.
And the trial for the 5 adult suspects?
That began formally on January 3rd, 2013. Charges of rape, kidnapping, murder, destroying evidence.
And then came that infamous statement from one of the defense lawyers.
Yes, M.L. Sharma. On January 10th, he said something that just ignited disbelief and anger across the country.
He blamed the victims.
He did. He controversially stated that Jyoti and Avinara were essentially responsible. They shouldn't have been out late, he said, and that Avinara should have protected her better.
Despite Avinara nearly dying trying to protect her.
Exactly. Despite his desperate attempts to shield her, even dragging her away from the bus wheels after they were thrown out. It was just blatant victim blaming, and it fueled the public fury even more.
Then there was another twist, the death of Ram Singh.
A really shocking turn. On March 11th, 2013, Ram Singh, the driver, was found dead in his cell at Tihar jail, hanged.
Officially ruled a suicide.
Officially, yes. But his own defense lawyer was convinced it was murder, staged to look like suicide. It added this layer of suspicion and unease to the whole proceedings.
Did his death affect the others' pleas?
It seemed to. After he died, the remaining 4 adults, Mukesh Singh, Vinay Sharma, Pawan Gupta, Akshay Thakur, who had apparently confessed earlier, they all changed their pleas to not guilty, claimed they'd been coerced, they were scared.
But the trial proceeded. What was the atmosphere like on verdict day?
Intense. Huge crowds gathered outside the court, protesting, chanting, continuously demanding the death penalty for all 4.
And the verdict?
The court delivered what the crowd was demanding. All 4 remaining adult defendants were found guilty and sentenced to death.
How did Jyoti's family react?
Her mother expressed profound relief, deep satisfaction. She publicly thanked the public, the media, for their incredible support throughout the ordeal.
Did the defense appeal immediately?
They did. But Judge Yogesh Khanna rejected it right away. He made a powerful statement, saying the court simply could not ignore a crime that was so deeply disturbing to the collective conscience.
And the convicts themselves? Any sign of remorse?
Absolutely none. It was chilling. Mukesh Singh, while awaiting execution, even gave interviews making these horrifying statements.
More victim blaming.
Yes, suggesting Jyoti brought it on herself, saying things like, "A good woman doesn't go out late. Women and men are not equal." and that if a woman is raped, she shouldn't fight back, should be quiet, then she'd be left alone.
It just reveals such a disturbing, deeply ingrained misogyny.
Exactly. The public found it absolutely abhorrent. It underscored the mindset they were fighting against.
So the death sentences were handed down, but the executions didn't happen immediately.
No. Frustratingly for many, they were delayed for 7 long years. The defense used every possible legal avenue, appeals, mercy petitions, all sorts of maneuvers.
But justice was eventually carried out.
Finally, yes. On March 20th, 2020, at 5:30 in the morning, all 4 adult convicts were hanged at Tihar jail. It was actually India's first execution since 2015. A long, long overdue culmination for many people.
This entire case, the Nirbhaya case, it clearly sent massive shockwaves through India. What were some of the most significant societal changes?
The impact was profound. Legally, there were major reforms. The constant, huge protest demanding better women's rights directly led to stronger laws against sexual assault.
The minimum sentence was increased.
Yes, from 7 years to 10 years for sexual assault. It might sound like just 3 years, but it signaled a real societal demand for tougher penalties, a stronger legal deterrent.
And the way victims were treated or perceived also changed.
Fundamentally. Traditionally, in India, the names of sexual assault victims were kept private, for protection and privacy. But Nirbhaya's family made a very brave, very conscious decision.
They allowed her name, Jyoti Singh, to be known.
Yes, they broke that tradition. Her father even publicly encouraged other victims to find strength in his daughter's story, to not hide, to seek justice. Revealing her name became this powerful symbol of defiance, a rallying point for victims' rights.
Were there practical changes too? Things aimed at improving safety?
There were. The case directly inspired the creation of the Nirbhaya app.
An app? Tell me about that.
It was developed by the Uttar Pradesh police. Essentially, it's a panic button app for women. If you feel threatened, you press it, and it sends your real-time location data straight to the authorities for an immediate response.
Has it actually helped?
Yes. It's been credited with saving lives. It represents this shift, from just outrage to creating tangible, tech-based tools for safety. It shows how trauma can spur innovation.
And culturally, the case has had a lasting resonance.
Definitely. It forced a deep societal reflection, raised awareness dramatically. It inspired powerful documentaries like India's Daughter, and also the Netflix series Delhi Crime, which focused on the police investigation.
While so much attention, understandably, was on Jyoti, the perpetrators, the justice system, we shouldn't forget Avinara Pandey, the survivor.
Absolutely not. His story is the often overlooked aftermath. After he recovered physically, he faced this immense psychological battle, largely outside the public gaze.
You mentioned survivor's guilt earlier.
Yes, severe survivor's guilt. He apparently blamed himself relentlessly for Jyoti's death. And those cruel public accusations from the defense lawyer must have just amplified that pain terribly.
Those thoughts. If only.
Exactly. If I hadn't asked her to the movie, if we hadn't taken that specific bus, she'd still be alive.
Yeah.
It's an unimaginable burden for a survivor to carry, especially when society, or parts of it, echo that blame.
And PTSD as well.
Yes, post-traumatic stress disorder. His father talked about him screaming awake at night, plagued by vivid nightmares of the attack itself. Those horrific images just wouldn't leave him.
Did he get help?
He did seek psychiatric treatment, took medication. Reports suggest he has managed to return to some semblance of a normal life, but it's widely acknowledged that the trauma is likely a permanent scar.
It's such a stark reminder, isn't it? Physical wounds might heal, but the psychological ones, they can last a lifetime.
They really can. This whole story, the Nirbhaya case, it's been incredibly difficult to go through, hasn't it?
It has. It's emotionally draining because it shows the absolute worst of human cruelty.
But it also shows something else. The resilience of the human spirit, Jyoti's fight, her family's strength, Avindra's survival, and the power of collective action, of a society rising up to demand justice and change.
It forces us to confront some very uncomfortable truths about violence and misogyny.
But also to recognize that capacity for change, for demanding better.
And maybe the thought to leave our listeners with is this: how can one single, utterly horrific event act as such a powerful catalyst?
Through that collective voice, that shared determination.
Right. How can it force an entire society to look at its deepest flaws and actually push for real transformation towards greater safety, greater equality for everyone?
It's a profound question stemming from an immense tragedy.
Thank you for joining us today as we shared this incredibly important, though deeply somber, story.
We hope you found this narrative insightful. Please continue to seek knowledge to understand these complex events that shape our world.
And if you found this story impactful, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel, Horror Doc. Your support helps us continue bringing these important narratives to light. Thank you for listening.